Part 4 of The Giraffe, the Pelly and Me. At this point the giraffe gave a nervous little cough and looked up at the sky.
"Is there a problem?" asked the Duke. "If there is, do please let me hear it."
"I don't like to sound ungrateful or pushy," murmured the giraffe, but we do have one very pressing problem. We're all absolutely famished. We haven't eaten for days."
"My dear Giraffe," cried the Duke, "how very thoughtless of me. Food is no problem around here."
"I'm afraid it's not quite as easy as all that," said the giraffe. "You see, I myself happen to be—"
"Don't tell me!" cried the Duke. "I know it already. I am an expert on the animals of Africa. The moment I saw you, I knew you were no ordinary giraffe. You are a geranious variety, are you not?"
"You're absolutely right, Your Grace," said the giraffe. "But the trouble with us is that we only eat—"
"Oh, you don't have to tell me that either," cried the Duke. "I know perfectly well a geranious giraffe can eat only one kind of food. Am I not right in thinking that the pink and purple flowers of the tinkle tinkle tree are your only diet?"
"Yes," sighed the giraffe, "and that's been my problem ever since I arrived on these shores."
"That is no problem at all here in Hampshire House," said the Duke. "Look over there, my dear Giraffe, and you will see the only plantation of tinkle tinkle trees in the entire country."
The giraffe looked. She gave a gasp of astonishment, and at first she was so overwhelmed she couldn't even speak. Great tears of joy began running down her cheeks.
"Help yourself," said the Duke. "Eat all you want."
"Oh, my sainted souls!" gasped the giraffe. "Oh, my naked neck! I cannot believe what I'm seeing." The next moment she was galloping full speed across the lawns and whinnying with excitement, and the last we saw of her she was burying her head in the beautiful pink and purple flowers that blossomed on the tops of the trees all around her.
"As for the monkey," the Duke went on, "I think he will also be pleased with what I have to offer. All over my estate there are thousands of giant nut trees."
"Nuts!" cried the monkey. "What kind of nuts?"
"Walnuts, of course," said the Duke.
"Walnuts!" screamed the monkey. "Not walnuts! You don't really mean walnuts? You're pulling my leg. You're joking. You can't be serious. I must have heard wrong."
"There's a walnut tree right over there," the Duke said, pointing.
The monkey took off like an arrow, and a few seconds later he was high up in the branches of the walnut tree, cracking the nuts and guzzling what was inside.
"That leaves only the Pelly," said the Duke.
"Yes," said the pelican nervously, "but I'm afraid that what I eat does not grow on trees. I only eat fish. Would it be too much trouble, I wonder, if I were to ask you for a reasonably fresh piece of haddock or cod every day?"
"Haddock or cod!" shouted the Duke, spitting out the words as though they made a bad taste in his mouth. "Cast your eyes, my dear Pelly, over there to the south."
The pelican looked across the vast rolling estate, and in the distance he saw a great river.
"That is the River Hamp," cried the Duke, "the finest salmon river in the whole of Europe."
"Salmon!" screeched the pelican. "Not salmon! You don't really mean salmon?"
"It's full of salmon," the Duke said, "and I own it. You can help yourself."
Before he'd finished speaking, the pelican was in the air. The Duke and I watched him as he flew full speed towards the river. We saw him circle over the water, then he dived and disappeared. A few moments later he was in the air again, and he had a gigantic salmon in his beak. I stood alone with the Duke on the lawn beside his great house.
"Well, Billy," he said, "I'm glad they're all happy. What about you, my lad? I'm wondering if you happen to have just one extra special little wish all for yourself. If you do, I'd love you to tell me about it."
There was a sudden tingling in my toes. It felt as though something tremendous might be going to happen to me any moment. "Yes," I murmured nervously, "I do have one extra special little wish."
"And what might that be?"
said the Duke in a kindly voice. "There is an old wooden house near where I live," I said. "It's called the Grubber, and long ago it used to be a sweet shop. I've wished and wished that one day somebody might come along and make it into a marvellous new sweet shop all over again." "Somebody?" cried the Duke. "What do you mean, somebody? You and I'll do that. We'll do it together. We'll make it into the most wonderful sweet shop in the whole world. And you, my boy, will own it." Whenever the old Duke got excited, his enormous moustaches started to bristle and jump about. Right now they were jumping up and down so much it looked as though he had a squirrel on his face. "By gad, sir!" he cried, waving his stick. "I shall buy the place today. Then we'll get to work and have the whole thing ready in no time. You just wait and see what sort of a sweet shop we are going to make out of this grubber place of yours." It was amazing how quickly things began to happen after that. There was no problem about buying the house, because it was owned by the Giraffe and the Pelly and the Monkey, and they insisted upon giving it to the Duke for nothing. The builders and the carpenters moved in and rebuilt the whole of the inside, so that once again it had 3 floors. On all these floors they put together rows and rows of tall shelves, and there were ladders to climb up to the highest shelves, and baskets to carry what you bought. Then the sweets and chocks and toffees and fudges and nougats began pouring in to fill the shelves. They came by aeroplane from every country in the world, the most wild and wondrous things you could ever imagine. There were gum twizzlers and fizzwinkles from China, froth blowers and spit sizzlers from Africa, tummy ticklers and gobwangles from the Fiji Islands, and lip lickers and plush nuggets from the land of the midnight sun. For 2 whole weeks the flood of boxes and sacks continued to arrive. I could no longer keep track of all the countries they came from, but you can bet your life that as I unpacked each new batch, I sampled it carefully. I can remember especially the giant whangdoodles from Australia, every one with a huge ripe red strawberry hidden inside its crispy chocolate crust, and the electric fizz cocklers that made every hair on your head stand straight up on end as soon as you popped one into your mouth. And there were nish nobblers and gum glotters and blue bubblers and sherbet slurpers and tongue rakers, and as well as all this, there was a whole lot of splendid stuff from the great Wonka factory itself. For example, the famous Willy Wonka rainbow drops. Suck them and you can spit in 7 different colours. And his stick jaw for talkative parents, and his mint jujubes that will give the boy next door green teeth for a mouth. On the grand opening day, I decided to allow all my customers to help themselves for free, and the place was so crowded with children you could hardly move.